Being an in-game leader in Apex Legends is not an easy job. However, in this video, I will lay out 5 specific components to becoming a better leader for your team. I think some of these aspects will surprise you guys, as most people don't ever mention them. And whether you exclusively play with randoms or you have a set squad to play with, this video is designed to help both parties. In fact, if you do solo queue a lot, this is the video you want to watch so that you can start to have more control over your games with randoms. So why is finding a leader so difficult? Well, there's lots of bad leaders out there and many just don't have great people skills. Most people don't give enough time to grow with certain teammates, so they call it off so quick and just rinse and repeat with other people. TSM is a great example of a team sticking together and working through thick or thin. Other pro teams, not so much. The unspoken implication of being a leader in general, being one of the best on the team. Now, you don't have to be the best player in order to be the leader, but you either need the respect from once being a great or still being really good to have the trust of other players who may or may not be better than you. So the first way to becoming a great leader is being selfless, also known as the ability to not just think about what you are doing, thinking for your whole team to some extent. And this is no small feat because Apex requires lots of our attention. However, when possible, thinking about everything all together will help you and your team come to better decisions and hopefully outcomes. Apex is chess, not checkers. If you tunnel vision a lot and don't reflect on where your teammates are or at what they're dealing with, you will fail as a leader. So ultimately, game sense is a must here, but you still need the perspective of thinking as a team and not just about yourself. This is a balancing act. And at times, you must focus on solely what you are doing and just trust that your teammates are doing their part. But on the other hand, when you are debating which fight to take or how to take it, this will require your team's full attention, and a great team is autonomous, but they still listen and execute off of what their leader says. And ultimately, what I mean by that last sentence is there will be times you will direct your teammates to use their ability in certain moments. But more fast-paced scenarios, the teammates will have to make their own decisions. And at the end of the day, the leader can't control everything. So that's where the autonomy comes into play. The second thing you need to be a great leader is you need to be accountable. You have to be accountable for the decisions you make for yourself and for the team. If you make a bad call, you've got to own it. The respect of your teammates is necessary to having good chemistry with one another. If you are able to blame yourself for bad calls or mistakes you made, it will shape you into a better leader, and in turn it has a ripple effect on the team. See, everyone else starts to become more accountable too. But if you're always pointing fingers and telling them you did this or that wrong, you will lose respect quickly, and that usually just makes them point fingers back at you. I want to be clear here, constructive criticism and pep talks are critical in any sport, let alone esports. But everyone on the team needs to acknowledge what they did wrong or perhaps where the team went wrong. And having open, honest conversations about this is what the best teams do. This is what hangs up most of the Apex player base. Remember when I said most don't have great people skills? Well, this is what I mean. A lot of players are quick to just point blame and never self-reflect, and in turn, they squash the opportunity to grow as a team, and ultimately continue to do this with other players they end up with. That's why so many pro teams in the Apex scene have just constantly recycled teammates over and over and over again, and most of the time they do so after playing one tournament together. It's kind of crazy to me if you actually think about it. Now, there are some teams who have stuck together or had subtle roster changes here or there. But if you look at the broader amounts of teams, most just recycle or swap teammates often. We can learn a lot about leadership from other great leaders in our history, and one of the best examples I like to make is Michael Jordan. Sure, basketball and video games are drastically different, but they have plenty of similarities. Michael Jordan was once asked, through the years, do you think that intensity has come at the expense of being perceived as a nice guy? And he said, winning has a price and leadership has a price. So I pulled people along when they didn't want to be pulled. I challenged people when they didn't want to be challenged. And I earned that right because my teammates who came after me didn't endure all the things that I endured. And once you joined the team, you lived at a certain standard that I played the game at, and I wasn't going to take anything less. I think this is a huge reason why when we watch some of the best leaders in Apex, they aren't coming off as nice guys. And that's because people are missing the forest for the trees here. Being nice isn't the point, really. You have to want to win. And yeah, you don't need to be a jerk about stuff, but at times it could come off like that in order to push your teammates to where you think you all can get to. When it comes down to competing, it's really important to get your message across. You want it to be heard and implemented. And as a result, hopefully you guys have grown together as a team and you start to make better decisions. The third thing you need to be is communicative. All of the best IGLs in Apex are very vocal, and this aspect is imperative to being a great leader. If you are shy, this will be a struggle to overcome, but I do know that once you get comfortable with who you're playing with, it does become much easier to be more vocal with them. Calling out who's low or what your team needs to do during all aspects of the game is something the leader is tasked with. Rotations, decision making, fights to take or fights to leave, on and on. See, the ability to be vocal and play at a high level are constantly overlooked when improving at a game like Apex. Communication helps with the narrative of what y'all are dealing with, and if you guys aren't communicating, this will seriously hinder teams. So how do you be more vocal with randoms though? Well, usually I just go open mic if it's a ranked match, and I call stuff out regardless if they say a word or not. Sometimes it entices them to use their mic too. Other times they won't do it, but at least I'm sharing the info that I'm seeing to them, and I can usually decide what to do as a result of me being the only one that's speaking. It's kind of crazy how that works. Now, obviously I know about party chats or randoms muting one another, but it's just about putting the effort in regardless if they assist or not. It's great practice to try communicating with randoms in rank to help you become a better communicator when you do have a set squad. But this leads me to the fourth thing you need to do to be a great leader. You need to be a good listener. The topic of communication, it's equally important to be able to listen well to what your teammates are saying. See, IGLing doesn't mean all of the burden is on you, but more so when stuff hits the fan, it's your call that is the final say. Of course, a great team has everyone sharing info rapidly with one another, but when it's do or die time, it's the IGL who's making most of the calls here. That's what they are supposed to do. Things can change fast in Apex though, so being able to listen and receive info from your teammates could help you make a better decision in a split-second moment. See, let's say you guys might be ready to take a fight, and you're starting to push that team, but then one of your teammates calls out that another team is flanking them. Understanding what your teammate is saying in that moment changes how things could go down, and as a result, you can't listen well, a game like Apex will humble you quickly. Everyone on the team needs to try to be a great listener, so don't cloud out the comms with unnecessary words. Try to get the message across quickly so you can listen for other things in the game. The fifth thing you need to be a great leader is experience. This doesn't necessarily need to be all in Apex because other first-person shooters and battle royales will assist with a lot of the things that happen in Apex, but experience is truly the key to being a great leader. This will help your teammates respect your word and your calls, and it will enforce a lot of the decisions you end up making. If you haven't been in a lot of the scenarios you find yourself in, then you won't really know what to do in them. And this is why you see a lot of NBA veterans leading teams despite them not still being in their prime. Because experience isn't something you get through osmosis, it comes with time. So watching other great players and putting in enough reps yourself to learn more and improve day by day is what's vital here. Now, I've noticed a lot of people in Apex are fine with just being the follower instead of the leader. They'd rather focus on who to shoot and where to go instead of all of the calls that need to be made in the game. But if the team calls for you to lead because of your experience, don't shy away from it. Having 3 followers on the team doesn't usually go well, especially when you get into the higher elos. So somebody has to step up to the plate. Speaking of higher elos, if you're interested in tips to rank up in Season 12, I suggest you check out my recent upload on how to reach Master's rank. Thanks for watching this video. Peace.